Todd, have you thought at all what this might be like tomorrow night, what the atmosphere of the scene is going to be like? You got a little taste with Nashville last year, but this might be yet another level higher.
I'm expecting it to be a lot like the Nashville game, and I'm hoping it'll be taken to another level.
Just an update on Feder and also Nick with him skating today.
No update on Feder. And again, we aren't going to get into injuries or what's going on with guys, and that's going to be you guys can ask all you want. I'm not going to get into it in this room with you guys. What was the second part? Nick. Yep. He skated today. He's good. And, we'll see about getting him in the lineup tomorrow.
Todd, was there a moment either down the stretch or at some point where you stopped worrying about whether the young guys were going to be able to carry the weight and continue to do what you asked them to do? Was there sort of a defining moment, or has it been a gradual process, during the last half of the season, say?
There wasn't any thought there or defining moment where it hit me like our young guys are ready. I think, when I think of our young guys, there's a lot of guys I think of on our team. There's not two or three. I mean, we got two handfuls of young guys. Johansson and Calvert and Atkinson, and I think their maturity last year, their experiences last year has really helped them out. I think our young guys, Ryan Murray and Boone Jenner this year, I think really from first month of the year, to me, I think there was moments in their games where they showed me, and I think they showed the rest of the coaching staff and the rest of their players that they're ready for this. And I'm talking about playing at this level. I think there was a little bit of a question coming into the playoffs, are we ready for this? And I think the guys have answered that question.
Todd, Dubinsky's always been kind of a heart and soul guy at every stop. Has he taken it to yet another level here in these first two games? Are you seeing a different Dubinsky, just big time, big stage kind of player?
He plays with a lot of emotion. That's one thing that really helps drive his game, and I think I've seen a more focused Dubinsky, and what I mean by that is seeing him in morning skates, and you can see that he's getting himself prepared for the game. There's not as much talking. He's just lining up and again a focus. And I think he has taken it to another level. This is the big stage, and the big players want to be on the big stage. And you want your opportunity in the big moments. And there's plenty of those this time of year.
If I can ask you about Ryan Johansson, he talked about maybe being disappointed that the points didn't come in his first couple of seasons. And I know the one was interrupted by the lockout, but was there ever concern from your point about, is he going to get to what we've seen him get to, and is there something you can point to say, yeah, that's why he's been able to take this step this year? Confidence
this year, and you go back to the previous seasons. It's maturity, just growing up, and I think sometimes we want these guys to, we're asking questions. Boy, why isn't he better? Why isn't he? I mean, he's a young kid. And you're asking a lot and sometimes demanding too much or expecting too much. I think to have the expectations are good, but again, you have to keep reminding yourself that he's a young player and he's still got a lot of growing to do, a lot of learning to do. I got asked a question earlier in the year, and I don't even know who asked me the question, but the question was, for you guys to have success this year, what one player other than Bob has got to have a season? And to me, it was easy. It was Ryan Johansson, and he has done that. There's still a lot of room, and it was interesting because game one didn't see a lot of Joe, and last night we saw a lot more of Joe. He had the puck, played big, played strong, and when he does that and he uses his size to his advantage, he's a tough player to play against, tough player to defend, because he's a good skater. He has the speed, he has the burst, but he has the size.
Todd, last night's win was historic. It was a landmark day for this franchise. Do you want your team to carry that euphoria into Monday, or to just put it aside?
We've talked about wins and losses. We've talked about the highs and lows, and what we want to do is put it behind us and get ready for the next game. So there was a moment last night after the game where, the emotions were high and happy, and guys put forth the effort and got the result that they wanted. So you should enjoy it. You got to enjoy the moment. But there also comes a moment where you got to put it behind you, and you got to start focusing and getting ready for Game 3. Because if we're still trying to live off of what happened last night, we aren't going to be ready for tomorrow. And I guarantee you, the team that we're playing tomorrow is going to be ready to go. They've been in this position before, where they've been tied in a series. They've had to go on the road, and they know what it takes. So the atmosphere in here is going to be great. We got to use some of that, but we can't let that distract us and take us over the edge.
Just going off that last question, still, do you get a sense of what that victory meant to Columbus? Some of the players talked about getting texts and tweets from people in Columbus and seeing what was going on here. Do you have a sense of what that victory, that first victory, means?
A little bit. I got the same text. From family and friends here in Columbus, and there's, throughout my hockey career too, you've also developed a lot of other friendships, and there were lots of texts coming in last night, and that's one of the great things about playing playoff hockey is, we were the only 7 o'clock game going last night, so everyone was watching our game, and it was a great hockey game, and lots of people are invested into this team, whether it's being a fan of Columbus, growing up in Columbus, and this is your team, or whether you're tied in through a player or a coach or somebody on the staff or management. That's what makes it great. That's what makes playoffs special.
Hey Todd, I know you've checked, or you've mentioned it a bit, but the youth on the team, a lot of teams in crunch time with so much youth. You said a couple of handfuls will falter a bit. Why didn't this team down the stretch kind of feel the heat of that pressure any more than it did?
Some of it might have been the youth, just really naive to the, and I mean that in a good way. I don't mean it in a bad way. That you're just able to go out and play. I mean, we've all been 22 and 21, and it doesn't seem like a lot bothers us. The older you get, there's more things to worry about. But when you're 20, 21, you just go out and play. So I think that might be part of it. I think some of it is also the leadership and the help of the veteran players in the room to keep it focused and keep it on track. There was confidence coming down with how we were playing the game. When you have confidence, again, that's a belief where you aren't going to falter. So there were different things, when you have sound structure and those types of things, it always leads to confidence going into games.
I guess maybe going off that, did you see your team build then during the regular season to where it is now?
Well, it took a lot of building.
Yeah.
Some of you weren't here in November when we were out in Western Canada, and that was it was a lot of building throughout the year. We play really well, not play well, play really well, not play well. Inconsistency, and it takes a lot of building that throughout the year. And again, it's a credit to the players where we were at, not only this year, previous seasons, to where we are now, because they're the guys that have to do the work.
The Penguins obviously have been in this position before, like you said. But do you think with the way Columbus has been playing them over the first 2 games and being able to contain Sidney Crosby, frustrating Malkin last night, do you think that you're starting to maybe create a little bit of doubt in some of their minds, getting them frustrated to that point?
Again, they've been in this position before. They've been here. I guarantee it. I guarantee they've been 1-1. Sidney Crosby, Malkin haven't scored, haven't gotten the points maybe that they wanted. And you can say that they're frustrated. They've been through it. They know how to deal with it. And what we need to do is just stay on track, stay on cue with what we need to do. And just come out and play Blue Jacket hockey and getting it in and forechecking, making them play a 200-foot game. If it's anything less than that, it favors them.
Hey, Todd, we made so much about guys playing their first playoff games and what it was like. Any surprises? What about you coaching your first 2 as a head coach? Anything different?
Well, just playing on national TV, having to do a interview at the 10-minute mark. That's about the only thing. But you know what? The pace, the speed, the intensity, You know, it's louder in there. So on the coach, on the bench, as a coach, you're screaming louder just to try to get your message so everyone can hear it. Yeah, but it's been great atmosphere. You know, the overtime game last night was, and obviously I'm feeling good because we won the game. Probably be feeling a little bit different if the result was different, but it was great to be a part of it. You know, overtime in the playoffs and in Pittsburgh, and to come out with a hard-earned victory leaves you with a great feeling. But again, you got to put it behind you because you got to get ready for Game 3. We got to win 4 games. 1 game doesn't win a series.
Todd, you got away from, you let other players skate against Crosby, and that line towards the last half of last night's game. What does that say about your center depth and how much you're able to trust it? But also, will you start in tomorrow night with Dubinsky again on Crosby, or just let it go?
I got asked that question last night, and you know, I did respond with exactly what you said about trusting our other centers. I wasn't chasing it as much, but some of the reason why I didn't chase is because the penalties. There were so many. You know, they had 15 minutes in power play, and I think we had 9 something. So there's about 24 minutes in specialty teams, and you know, it's coming out of a power play or it's coming out of a penalty kill. Who's fresh, who's not, and a lot of times coming out of their penalty kill, Sidney Crosby's coming out on the ice. And if I had Brandon Dubinsky on the power play, it's tough to put him back out on the ice. And it's no difference on the flip side of that. So again, the matchup based off of, it was probably, the decision was made more based on how we were coming out of the specialty teams. I still would like to get Brandon out on the ice as much as I can against Crosby. But again, trying to just manage the group and trying to get guys back into the game and not sitting on the bench for too long was important as well.